What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So back in the garage again. This is a requested video I've had several of you guys asking me for, and that is for the install of the three-piece spoiler and how I did it on my car. Before I dive into it, I just want to say thank you for everyone that commented and all the people that are subscribing so far. It's increasing still quite a bit, which is awesome, showing me that you guys are interested in these videos. I do understand in my last video I've had several of you guys comment and tell me that I was using the wrong terminology for the taillights. I kept saying that these were the turbo model taillights. Yeah, you guys messaged me and you were telling me actually these taillights did come on the naturally aspirated non-turbo model Supra. I didn't know that. I thought they only came on the turbo model. So still learning. But again, I appreciate you guys reaching out and telling me and explaining the differences between the lights. Yeah, I literally thought that they only came on the turbo model. So I had no idea. So I apologize. You guys are probably like, what the crap are you talking about? He has no idea what he's talking about. When it came to the taillights, apparently I don't. So yeah, so you guys told me that there's differences between the 89 post and pre-89, the facelift front bumper versus the non-facelift front bumper. So again, I do appreciate you guys reaching out and telling me the differences. So now I have a better understanding. But yeah, so don't worry. I'm not going to say how to install the three-piece turbo spoiler in your car. I do know that these do come on the non-turbo model as well. So this spoiler I picked up here locally in Salt Lake from a guy for about $100. I've seen them going up in price now. I've seen a couple on eBay. Just around town here, they're going upwards of $500 to $1,000. So they're getting pretty pricey. Some of them are in pretty rough shape. Some of them are really in good shape. When I got this one, it was in pretty decent shape. I had to do a few repairs on it before I installed it. But this car did not come with a spoiler at all. So this was the just the regular base model, no spoiler. So I had to go in, I had to drill the holes, I had to figure out where these three different pieces were actually supposed to land on the car to fit properly. And it did take me a little bit of time to figure this out. So if you have another Supra that has this spoiler on it, the three-piece spoiler, I would say obviously measure it. Okay, so if you can get a reference point, measure the spoiler where it needs to sit, that's ideal. I didn't have that, so I had to pretty much guess where these were supposed to land. There's a little bit of trial and error with it, and I did break a few of the pieces on here, and I'll show you exactly what I broke. But yeah, so I will go ahead and open up the trunk here, and I'll show you guys kind of what I did and some of the little tricks that I used to bolt this thing on here, and yeah, we can kind of go from there. So I will apologize in advance. I'm not going to pull my spoiler off and these pieces off because first of all, it'll be a pain. I'll try to explain it in the best details I can, but I do not want to remove these and have to like redo all the seals. So hope you guys understand. But it is pretty easy. It's not super difficult. All right. So on this, you can see there's a couple of different mounting spots for these pieces. These pieces here, I didn't utilize. Mine were all broken. So these two pieces, there's a little plastic, like clip things that go inside here. I'll show you. I've got one that's not broken, but everything else broke. And then you're gonna have a couple mounting points here and here. You can obviously see, if I can get a good angle, that's where the spoiler or the antenna goes for the retractable antenna. I don't have that anymore because I don't have a radio in my car, so I sealed this. I'm gonna go back over with body filler. I haven't finished doing everything with this. So I'm gonna go over with body filler. I'm gonna sand it, make it smooth before I go and wrap it. Again, this is the color I'm wrapping the car. You can see it's kind of like a satin finish, so it kind of hides some stuff, but some stuff you can still see. So, but yeah, there are several mounting spots for these. I think there's gonna be 4. So 2 up here, 1 here, and 1 here. I think one of them is like a push-in. So I think one of them's a stud and the one's supposed to have like a little rubber grommet that it pushes into. I changed that out on mine because they were broken as well. So when I did the little piece that pushes in, it broke. And what I did was I pulled that piece out and I ended up taking a bolt, a metric bolt, and I epoxied the head of the bolt in the same location where that little push-in piece went. So mine, like you can see here, there's just holes there because those little plastic pieces that screw into the body were broken. I don't know where you can get those. I don't know. My whole goal is to try to make things work with newer pieces, so I don't have to try to source the new plastic pieces that I might not be able to get. As with the tail lights, I use the same foam up here, or inside here. You can see right here, it's kind of squished inside there all the way around. It sits pretty flush. I was told that the stuff inside here, this rubber gasket stuff, is the same kind of material they use for like wide body, for like over fenders. I could be wrong, but someone did mention, they're like, oh, that looks like the same trim stuff that goes along like an over fender to keep the water from going in there. So it could be the same stuff, something similar to it. But either way, it works just fine. So that's what I used. Can you probably get the gaskets for these? Probably. I'm not going to worry about it because I just don't think I'm going to be able to find them. If I can use something that I can get at a local hardware store that looks just as good or seals just as good, I'm going to do that. So if you guys can source those, more power to you. Source them, get them, use the proper thing. That way you know that they won't leak. All right, I just pulled it off for you. I thought it'd be just easier. So there you go. You can see the trim. I'm going to fix this piece right here because it just came off, but it was actually sealed pretty dang good. It was actually hard to pull this piece off. So it sealed really well with this stuff. So here you can see the holes that I drilled beforehand, which would go into the pieces here. I'll put a picture in this so you guys can see what it looks like. But it's got like a plastic piece that goes in here, and then there's a screw that goes down and it flares open the plastic piece on both these right here. Then when you put the spoiler over it, it's got a separate hole that goes in sideways, which is going to be this piece here, and it's just like a plastic like self tapper, and then those just go in and those kind of pull the spoiler down. Like I said, when I bought my spoiler, it didn't have those plastic pieces, so I had to kind of improvise. I could probably find them on like Amazon or eBay or something. I haven't tried, but I did make it work without them. So just be careful with that. If you do have those pieces on your spoiler, be careful. If you screw them in too tight, they can break. When they flare, if you go too tight or whatever, or if you make the holes too big here, they can just spin, and then you're just going to over tighten them, and then again they'll break. So be careful with that. Like I said, I wanted to go without that. Pieces that I just didn't have to replace, if I could go without it, that was my goal. So I'll get in the light here. So right here, there you go. You can see I put the stud in there. I fiberglassed it, used some JB Weld over the top of it. The other one up there is the piece that comes in that'll plug into the back of this. So I gave the wrong information. So this piece is a threaded like stud, and this one right here will be that rubber push-in one. So as you screw this one down and you screw these two down, it'll force that one into the rubber grommet inside here. But like I said before, I wanted to go without that if I could. I ended up putting a threaded piece here, a threaded piece here, and then with the foam, it tightens down tight enough to where it doesn't leak. I've never had issues with this leaking, and like I said, I'm going to fix this piece here. I've got plenty of it here, but I've never actually had this part of the car leak on both sides. So it hasn't been an issue. Same with the spoiler up here. None of this has leaked up here. So as long as you get the seals in the right spot, then you'll probably be fine. Okay, already got the spoiler back on. See, it's not going anywhere. Be careful not to over tighten those. I can't stress that enough. I've broken plenty of clips because I'm like, oh, I want this thing to seal. I gotta take and make it as tight as it can so the seals properly, and then it breaks. So if you go the route I did and you put the bolts in there, I know it's not pretty. I know there's probably plenty of other ways to do it, but I used the JB Weld, and then I used epoxy with fiberglass first over the bolt, kind of poked a hole through it, put the fiberglass over it pretty tight, and then let it cure all the way. And then I put the JB Weld over the top of that. I just didn't want it to break. So also, with that being said, if you do that, make sure it's not built up. Make sure the JB Weld, or if you use fiberglass or whatever, make sure it's not built up, because if that is the case and it's built up too high, you go to tighten that, this won't sit flat. So you got to make sure that it's flush with the edges of the spoiler so it sits flat on the car. You can see the new piece of trim I put in there, that rubber foam stuff. It works. It's awesome. I do need to seal these still, so I'll do that. But again, I haven't had any issues with that leaking. So the two nuts that I used on The inside here and here are 10 millimeter nuts. And so then whatever bolts, I think they were probably actually something off this car, Toyota bolts. Those worked just fine, and then I could tighten them down. But even then, when I was tightening these down just now, I could actually hear it like crunching a little bit. So again, just, yeah, be careful with that part of it. Okay, so now onto this. One thing I didn't mention was how to actually line this up if you don't have a car with the spoiler on here, a Supra, that you can actually go in and measure it. What I did on mine was you can go in, you can make the holes a little bit bigger. Just make sure you don't go too big, because then you've got to make up for that distance with like a washer and then a nut, and then it looks bad, right? You're not going to see any of that because obviously it's underneath the spoiler. So if you kind of mung it up, then oh well, it's underneath this. You're not going to see it. It just will be irreversible, right? So if you're like, oh, I don't want to run a spoiler anymore, you pull it off and you have all these holes, and then unless you're good at body filling or whatever, you're going to be left with a bunch of holes that you got to fill. So I wanted to get mine as close as I could when I did this. So what I did was I made a paper template of the base of this. So I went around the base of this. You do have a few things that are going for you here. The spoiler does have a little lip right here. I made a template that followed this line right here, that followed that curve, and it followed the part of the spoiler that's going to be contacting the car. Laid it down, I used a piece of construction paper, cut it out, and I laid it on the car. I got it as close as I could with this piece back here and with this this edge right here of the car, meaning that I got it as far forward as I could where this edge would hit the back of the car, and I laid it down. I also, with the construction paper flipped over, I just used those other marks, the studs that were already in there. I just poked those through the paper, and so I knew where that reference point was. You could see in here, I just barely showed you guys the two holes that I had here for these pieces. I put those in there. You could see how big they were, and obviously they didn't work. So I just made sure I had good points here and here. That's how I did that part of it. Same thing on this side. Get a piece of construction paper, follow this edge, make sure it's close enough, and make sure it's tied up as tight as you can get it to here, pushing it forward, okay? So if you don't do that, then the spoiler's not gonna line up. But again, like I said, if you have a reference point, like another car, even if it's not a friend of yours, it's someone that you can just go and be like, hey, I just need to measure your spoiler, do that. And if you measure it, obviously find a point where, like, this line here, something where it's not gonna be moving, right? Measure here to the front of this, something like the trim piece to here, get some reference points, then drill your holes, make sure you get it right so you're not going in and trying to mess with this and trying to get it to sit straight. All right, for this piece, you got this point here that's gonna go flush with the trunk, the edge of the trunk. You're gonna have this point here, okay? And then same thing on this side here, and then this point here, right? So you do have a few reference points that'll help you center it up. But in my case, where I didn't have any existing holes, I understand there are two different types of spoilers. I could be wrong. I'm sure you guys will let me know. There's a 3-piece spoiler, and then I believe it's the GT style, which is like just the one piece that kind of hangs over the side of the car. I don't know if that spoiler, those holes line up with the center here. So like this piece here and this outer edge here. I don't know if those existing holes will work with a 3-piece. So that I don't know. I'm sure someone in there in the comments will correct me on that. If that's the case, awesome. Then less holes you got to drill, right? So again, I apologize in advance. I'm not going to pull this piece off because this is just a pain to try to work with. But right here you can see that's one of those little plastic pieces that's the same that goes on this side here, okay? So on there you can see it's kind of slanted a little bit, so that's going to screw into that plastic piece and that's going to pull this down and that's going to create your sill. You can see I use that rubber trim stuff. Again, it's never leaked, worked out pretty good. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to drill a hole here, there, and there, and then you're going to have to drill a big enough hole for this. This is the light, the brake light for the back, okay? So you got to drill a hole big enough for this plug, okay? And I'll tell you guys about this here in a second. And then same thing on this side, you got to drill a hole here, and then you're going to have to drill a hole here if you're going to be able to utilize these plugs or these plastic pieces. So I used them actually in this. So that plastic piece right there, That's the piece I'm talking about that goes into this. So again, here, that's for the centerpiece. There, okay? And then what I did, and I know all of you guys are going to cringe right now, I put a self-tapping screw in here to go into the bottom of the spoiler to pull this down. Okay, so this is kind of like angled up a little bit and it wouldn't seal in the front here. So I put the self-tapper in there and I use that as a screw to kind of pull the front down. You don't see it. You barely see the head of that. If you can avoid that, please do so. I don't love that, but I had to do something to get it to sit straight or sit kind of down angled so it'd seal. Okay, again, there's another one right there. If you can steer away from that, please do so. Don't use self-tapping screws. Use the proper way, you know, whatever. But there you go. You can see the screw angles in, goes into the plastic pieces up inside here, and then it kind of holds it down. You can see there's the bottom of the spoiler. Okay, there's the two nuts. So those holes were already there. So I mean, if you're like drilling a hole and it's not even like lining anywhere up with this, you're probably in the wrong spot. But those were already there. So I mean, obviously they've designed it for that specific reason, and that could also be for that other spoiler design as well. I do believe on this part I did trial and error. I think I did drill these holes a little bit bigger than they needed to be, just so I could have a little bit of play back and forth to make sure the spoiler was centered up. Before you drill your holes, just make sure that you're pretty well spaced. Make sure that you're not twisted either. Make sure one side of the spoiler is not further forward than the other. Like I said, it's easy to line this up because you do have a few good reference points to make sure that it is straight on there. If you need to, you know, make another paper template or whatever you need to do, or just simply measure it. Okay, measure where those studs are in that centerpiece here. I would probably get the center lined up first and then make sure that's all where it needs to be. Make sure these side pieces are where they need to be, but I would bolt the front or the middle part in first, and then that way you're not trying to like fight it. So if you like were to bolt this side in first, there's a chance that the spoiler could be angled and then you're gonna drill the wrong holes and then it's gonna just look like crap. So that's what I did. I know it's not like the best reference as far as, you know, how I actually went through and did it. It worked for me. It sucked because I did not have a reference for it, so I kind of just had to eyeball it and make it work. So I just was very careful. It's one of those measure twice, cut once type deals. So just make sure before you start drilling holes in the car, because then you gotta start filling holes. You gotta make sure they don't leak. Okay, make sure before you do that you have some good reference points before you drill the holes. And for this, so there's a light that goes right here in the glass. You can see my cutout. It's kind of hard against the garage, but the defroster strips, you can see there's a spot missing right there. So you may have that light that sits right in here. I still have it. I just don't have it in the car right now. That's what this is right here. It utilizes the same plug for this light here. Okay, so that's why I was saying you got to drill that hole big enough so you'll have 3 holes here. Make sure you feed this through, but this plug here, I didn't add. Put this in here. I didn't add this plug. I think that's it. I apologize. It's not like the best video. It's not like a 100% how to install this spoiler. This is just the steps that I did, the steps that I took to make this spoiler fit. If you guys are like, I don't want to mess with it and drill holes in my car, then don't do it. I mean, it took me a few times to like just talk myself into it to drill the holes. Yeah, but once I got it on there, it's awesome. I really like it. It definitely adds to the car. Some of you guys have been saying, oh, I like the other taillights more. If you like the other taillights more, keep them. I mean, both of them look fine. I don't have any issues with the old style taillights. They just were beat up. They were pretty trashed. I do like these ones more, these turbo taillights. I like these ones more than the two-piece lights. So post 89 or the 89 and older taillight, or 89 and newer taillights, in my opinion, look a little bit better, and I got them for a really good deal, so I figured I would swap them out. So, but no, I agree. I think both style, they both look awesome. I mean, they both make the car look really good. So, but yeah, same with the spoiler. Some of you guys might prefer, you know, the one that's just like the one piece. If you guys like that, then go for it. You know, leave that one on there. If you want to add that one on there, I don't know how to do that one because I didn't do it. I just did this one here. So hopefully that kind of helps you guys, gives you guys a little bit of confidence to put one of these 3-piece spoilers on your car. It definitely looks pretty aggressive, especially with how wide, how wide it is here, and how these kind of sleek forward. I really like that look. This also does kind of sit back off the back of the car a little bit, which kind of adds, a little bit of like a lip to the back. Like I said, I know it's not like the greatest how-to. Every car is probably gonna be a little different. Every spoiler is probably gonna be a little different, but that's what I did, and that's what worked for me. Hopefully it works for you guys. Hopefully it gives you an idea. Hopefully it gives you guys the confidence to do this. Like I said before, I was like stressing out when I was getting ready to do this because I just didn't want to drill holes in the wrong place and then have it leak, or it just end up looking like crap and then having to try to reverse everything that I did. And anyways, it worked out. I'm glad I did it. It worked out just fine. There's still some things that I need to touch up on the spoiler, but I'm going to go through and I'm going to do body work and stuff on this car before I get ready to do the wrap. Some of you guys, have commented like, oh, there's better ways to do this. I trust me, I get it. Like there's plenty of ways to do this, and there's probably way better ways to do this, but this is how I did it in my garage this way with no other references. So just bear with me. But hopefully for those of you that are in the same boat that I am, that want to put this spoiler on my car, I just don't know quite how to do it. I'm a little nervous how to do it, kind of hopefully get you steered in the right direction. But yeah, so hopefully you guys like these videos. I enjoy doing these videos. It's been pretty cool to see all you guys subscribing and commenting. So I'll continue to throw these videos out here. I'm thinking maybe one video a week. If you guys want to see more than that, let me know. I'll try to do more than that. Again, comment, subscribe, give me a like, give me a thumbs up on these videos. That way I know you guys are intrigued. And yeah, keep throwing them out there for you guys. And the next couple of videos that I've got coming up will be ECU master related. The last couple of days, I've been trying to get my ECU master wiring all situated so I can get it tuned. And I ran into some weird issues. My distributor, I pulled that out. We were about 60 degrees advanced on the timing. So I pulled the distributor out to figure out kind of what's going on. I turned the distributor gears, that gear, the shaft that comes down with the gear on it, by hand, and my headlights started turning off and on. So that was cool. I got to go in and figure out, it's just something obviously with the adapter harness that ECU Masters provides. I'm sure there's probably just a cross wired or something that I've got to just track down. Everything else seems to be working just fine. I can check coolant temperatures. I can check RPMs working just fine. I can turn the injectors on and off. They're batched really weird. I'm sure you guys already know this. For those of you that have tuned cars, they're batched, and I'm thinking about doing the individual injection or the independent injection, whatever you guys call it. Probably do that. I'm also going to be doing a crank and cam position sensor on there. I'm trying to source everything to do that. I'm going to get rid of the distributor. All that stuff's going to be gone. I'm going to go to the coilover plugs. I just have to get the bare minimum working first. So I'm going to try to get the car running on the distributor first and make sure I can get it running, get all the other parameters and everything figured out, and then I will start dinking with other timing stuff, other ignition stuff, and get the car really dialed in. So I will try to film that stuff as much as I can. I'm not a whiz when it comes to the wiring stuff, as you guys probably, I call these the turbo tail lights. So I'm not a whiz when it comes to the wiring stuff, but I will show you guys the best I can. I was able to figure it out, and I can check everything on my computer, and I can see that everything's working. It's not super difficult, and you can screw some stuff up if you're not careful, but ECU Masters lays it out pretty clear for you guys. So if you're thinking about doing ECU Masters, go for it. I've heard AEM is way better. I've heard Haltech is way better. I'm sure there's all sorts of different systems that'll probably work better than others. The ECU Masters at the time was the most affordable for me, and I did hear the plug and play stuff worked pretty good, minus the fact that I can now turn my headlights on and off with the distributor, which is super cool. But yeah, most of that stuff is pretty easy to work with. So if you guys are looking at something that's more affordable in your price range, ECU Masters is pretty affordable. I got everything I think for like about $1,000. And I'm running the ECU Masters Classic. So if you guys are like, I probably get the black or the black's better, go get the black. If you guys can get a good deal on that, yeah, obviously the black is going to be better. It's more up to date. There's more things you can do, more outputs, more fail safes and things that they have on that ECU. So if you guys are considering that, yeah, go for it. Do whatever you're going to do. But I'll let you know how the ECU Masters works out for me. So far, everything works out good, minus the sweet new tail light or new headlight switch in my distributor. But yeah, other than that, everything's been super cool. So anyways, I'm rambling on, but again, comment, subscribe. Let me know you guys are liking these videos. I, again, appreciate everybody that has reached out so far, all the comments saying how cool my car is. I appreciate that. It's definitely a good from far, but far from good. There's definitely flaws in this car, so it's not like showroom quality. So I'm still a work in progress. I'm still working on it. But yeah, I'll say it again. Comment, subscribe, give me a like. I appreciate it, and I'll continue to throw these videos out. We'll see you guys later.